Okay, so what I'm going to demo is the new sort of SG Vault technology. And as you can see, we're in a vault, but actually if I reload it, you get to see here. So what's powerful about this is I'm going to show you an example of what we can do with new vaults where we can display all sorts of websites that you can create and can create environments. But the power is that the data is saved in the vault, right? Which is this encrypted file and for the communication sort of workflow, but it's also version control, which is a real powerful. So the demo here is that let's say you have a healthcare information, right? And you want to do a health assessment and you want to basically review your data, and then the doctor can come in, etc. So the point here is all of this is centralized around this mini sort of vault that we now are going to use to store the data. So the logic here is, let's say you have a health assessment that the person does, where you provide details. So I'm going to just run through this. I kind of put the automation here, which is pretty cool, right? So you could see that instead of having to fill everything in, I can just click on these buttons and then that basically populates it for me, which is pretty cool. So you could see, we provide information, how you feel, what's your history of the stuff you've done, what's your concerns, and then you get a score, right? So the score is this, and then this is basically on the particular formula, which I'll show in a second. And then what you do is you can, let's say, you can have an analysis. So we can provide an analysis done by an LLM, and then this is basically on that information, based again on the formula, based on the framework that we have, and you provide this. Of course, the clinician needs to see this. We'll show that in a second. And then you put in a vault, right? So everything data gets now saved into a vault, and then this can then be shared, right, with the doctor, right? And in particular case, I even say maybe we can send him an email that says this, maybe send a sharing message to have that, and there's different ways of doing this, right? But the idea is that then with this particular token, the doctor will be able to access this vault and information. But the idea is that we can create this powerful experience, and then we can basically go into this idea of explaining. This is what I like about this stuff. Now we can explain things. So we can now say, hey, why we recommended this? So you got this and you got that, and then that's what's working in your favor, and that's what's affecting your score. And there's recommendations. And you can go, well, actually, how we did this score? Well, you went like this. So now we can provide all this interesting information about what it is, the metabolic health, the lifestyle, etc., all based on the data that the user provided, right? And even have the full evidence chain. So this is, again, for every one of those scores, we can map all the way to the framework that we provide, right? And the framework in this, for example, in this case, would be something like this. So we can have a framework. So this is the private framework. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is where you start to talk about the modes and actually what's proprietary versus not. So this is kind of like you can have a score that is unique per doctor, per company, per structure, and then this is where, depending of where you have these informations, how much weight you put on this stuff, right? And then depends on this, in a way, this is the standard. This is the formula that gets then used to map things through, right? And again, this is the intellectual property of the people, right? And there's a couple of more, and of course, all this is into JSON, so you can see that is all mapped to JSON. It's pretty cool, right? But then, yeah, so then we can have the doctor view, right? So this is, for example, the doctor view of that data. So the logic would be that the patient fills the data stores in the vault, and then when the doctor comes along, he looks at the vault and basically captures the information, and then that's what it is, right? So this is the information that's there, and then you can come in here and you can basically say, hey, I reviewed, follow up, etc., right? And then, so this is the view, right? And in this particular case, I got, Sam is a bit, in this case, has a bit more problems, so there you go, right? So then this is a bit more problematic information, but it's really cool, right? And it's all powered by the vaults. So all the data is saved and encrypted. It's only in the client, and this is sort of what the experience would look like for, the patients and the doctors, which is pretty cool.